right, today I'm going to be talking about a story that I remembered that I always found interesting, and hopefully you'll find it interesting as well. It's a short story, but before I speak about it, let me give a little background. Briefly, Louie Daidone became inducted into the Lucchese family, I believe sometime in the 80s, because when they had the company on 150th Street outside Kennedy Airport, my mother worked there, and it had to be 1982 or 83, and Louie was straightened out then. But he was fast-tracked to a captain's position, and by the year 2000, specifically September 6, 2000, a large indictment came down on the Lucchese family, one which included Stevie Crea, and Louie stepped in as the acting boss of the family. And when news of this spread around, a lot of people were happy for him. Anyone who knows Louie knows he's a man's man. Even though Louie spent a lot of time in Brooklyn, specifically the Canarsie area, he operated out of Howard Beach, Queens. I've previously spoken about when I first met Louie as a young guy when I would go to work with my mother. And from the first time I met him to the last time I seen him, Louie always acted like a gentleman with me. I remember he had a car Simonizing place and also a cab stand on Cross Bay. And years later, while I was in prison, he opened up a bagel store on Cross Bay in Howard Beach as well. I guess that's where they came up with the nickname Louie Bagels, because when I knew Louie, no one called him by that name. Louie had a lot of associates around him, and one of them was Patty Della Rosa. One day, Patty and I were speaking about Louie, and at this time, Louie was already away. On June 29, 2004, he received 3 concurrent life sentences. As a matter of fact, in February of this year, he put in a motion for compassionate release, but he was denied. Anyway, Patty was talking to me about the times that he spent with Louie, and he was talking about 1989 and 1990. And during that time, Louie was a Lucchese captain, and he had a big crew under him. Howard Beach is a section of Queens, one where I grew up in, that was replete with wise guys. Back then, you had 3 bosses basically living within blocks of one another. You had Vic Musso, the Lucchese boss, Banano boss Joe Messino, and John Gotti, the boss of the Gambino family. So naturally, Louie, being a captain operating in the area, he had interaction with all of these guys. So back then, Patty said that Louie wanted to give John Gotti a gift. And this isn't uncommon. Guys in their life do give each other gifts. Not only was Louie friends with John Gotti, but it was a nice gesture for another boss in the area. So he went to one of the Gambino guys and he asked for John Gotti's shoe size. He happened to wear the same size shoe as Louie. So he went out shopping and he bought John Gotti a nice pair of alligator shoes. At that time, guys in their life were wearing alligator shoes, especially a good dresser like John Gotti. According to Patty, Louie was so proud at this gift that he was going to give to John Gotti. And supposedly he told one of the old timers about it. Patty didn't say who it was, and I didn't ask. Speaking of which, I receive a lot of questions from viewers asking for specifics. Let me just explain. In the street, when you're being told a story, you do not ask questions. For instance, in this case, I didn't ask Patty what was the name of the old timer. In that life, there's a way to carry yourself, and asking questions about things that weren't volunteered to you isn't wise. Hence the term wise guy, a definition that you're expected to be wiser than the average guy, at least as far as the street goes. Anyway, so Louie tells the unnamed old timer about the gift that he bought. And the old timer told Louie, don't give him the shoes, you're going to insult him. Because giving shoes to a guy means he's going away and it's considered bad luck. Personally, I've never heard of that one, and neither did Patty or Louie for that matter. After hearing the advice of the old timer, Louie never gave John Gotti the shoes. And since they were his size, he just kept them for himself. This is just one example of how tricky and complicated that life is. You definitely have to watch how you conduct yourself, what you say, and even what kind of gift you give to a guy. I hope you all found this story interesting. As I mentioned, it wasn't something that I was aware of. There's a lot of superstitions when it comes to that life. Please remember to like this video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you could do that as well. By doing so, you'll be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you think this video may interest your friends or family, please share it. And thank you. Okay, till the next time. You can subscribe to the Sit Down News blog at sitdownnews.com, and I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. Thank you. Well, just another example in the mob you never knew about. Hope you enjoyed the story. If you would like to subscribe to this channel, you could do so down below. If you would like to subscribe to my other channel, Unlimited Substance Podcast, I'll add a link in the description to this video.